My name is Natalie Manson. I'm a 34-year-old office worker. I live with my husband Sean and our daughter Mary, making us a family of 3. We're in our 5th year of marriage. Today, I find myself having to reevaluate my relationship with Sean. Frankly, his personality is terrible. I regret not seeing this when we were dating. Sean promised to share household chores equally after marriage, but once we started our married life, he dumped all the housework on me. Yet, outside, he plays the role of a good husband, thick-faced in his pretense. He acts like a caring husband who actively does chores and looks after his wife in front of his coworkers and parents-in-law. Even after Mary was born, Sean didn't change. If anything, it got worse with the unavoidable addition of childcare to the usual housework. Sean never really took part in raising our daughter. Luckily, he isn't oppressive towards Mary and even seems to adore her, which is the only saving grace. But even that doesn't improve my view of him. I hesitate to divorce because of our young daughter. Besides, my relationship with my parents and brother-in-law's family is good. My mother-in-law has been in a wheelchair since falling ill but is otherwise very lively and plays well with Mary. My father-in-law, surprisingly a former wrestler, still keeps up his training and maintains his physique from his heyday. Sean, raised strictly by his father, often complains about him. "I've finally become free." It was a common phrase he used when he got drunk. I was starting to think, maybe this selfish behavior is the result of being liberated from his oppressive father. But then, I shook my head each time, thinking, no, I'm the one who's suffering because of it. One day, while visiting my in-laws with Mary, they suggested something. "Mary's growing up. Maybe it's time to build a house?" "A house? Yeah. I'll fund it," said my father-in-law, thumping his chest confidently. When I told Sean, he first yelled, "Why tell Natalie first?" I should have been the first to know. But then he smirked creepily. "All right, let's do it," he said, lost in thought. I found it eerie and left with Mary. We decided to take up the offer and build a house, but Sean's tyranny only accelerated. "It's our own house. I'll be as picky as I want." His ideal home wasn't a warm, comfortable space for the family but a place filled with his own desires. Using his father's financial support, he obsessed over details, ignoring the need for my room or a future children's room for Mary. "Shut up! How dare you, a mere wife, criticize me, your husband? Who do you think you are?" Standing in front of our new house's blueprint, I voiced my dissatisfaction and was met with his angry shouts. That's when I made up my mind. There's no point in staying with such a husband anymore. While he was obsessed with his ideal home, I was moving forward with something else. Time flew, and finally, the new house was completed. We decided to have a small celebration with my in-laws and Sean's brother's family. On the day of the housewarming, Sean's brother and his wife were the first to arrive. But by that time, Sean was already quite drunk. Then, he finally spilled his true feelings to his brother, whom he's close with. "A wife is just a servant for her husband, right? She's just for housework, childcare, and taking care of the parents." "What?" "I'm doing the childcare, but I've hired 2 maids for the housework and caregiving." "Your mistresses." Sean's eyes widened at my words. I thought I finally said it. I told him off. I replayed the earlier events in my mind. Sean had been drinking a lot even before his brother's family arrived. His brother was surprised. "Hey, man. Already started drinking, huh?" "Why not? I'm like the main man today," Sean said, opening another beer. His brother looked at me worriedly, but I just silently shook my head. Sean's drinking got worse, almost like he was drowning in booze. "What a grand house, man. I'm jealous." "Yeah, it's all thanks to Dad's money. I spared no expense." "What? You can't talk like that. This is my house. A house just for me." "Hey, what are you saying? You're too drunk. This house is for you, Natalie, and Mary to live together happily, right?" "Wait, where is Mary?" Haven't seen her today.
What? What are you talking about? A wife is just a servant to her husband, right? Yes. She's just for housework, childcare, and taking care of the parents.
Hey, man. Sean yelled out his true feelings, completely drunk. His brother and sister-in-law looked horrified and disgusted. I just smiled. Not a smile of resignation, but one of assured victory. Time for my counterattack. I grabbed a water bottle and strode towards Sean. Then, I turned the bottle over his head, drenching him in water. Sean, shocked by my sudden act, and his brother's family, stood frozen in disbelief.
What the heck, Natalie? Why'd you do that? I'm soaking wet.
Sean finally came to his senses and yelled at me. Just thought I'd sober you up since you seemed pretty drunk. I replied indifferently, and Sean started trembling. Before he could yell again, I took the offensive. Could you repeat what you just said? I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, so I said, a wife like you is just for housework, childcare, and caregiving. Got a problem with that?
Yes, I do. I tilted my head exaggeratedly. Of course, I'll handle childcare, but I've arranged for housework and caregiving. You know, with your two mistresses.
What?
Sean's eyes widened at my words. And his brother's family was equally shocked. I calmly looked around at everyone. Sean's face, which had been red from drinking, suddenly turned pale. It's fascinating how quickly a person's face can change color. Sean stammered.
Natalie, what are you talking about all of a sudden?
Just what I said. Your two mistresses.
Stop talking about that here. It's bad for Mary's education. Wait, where's Mary? Haven't seen her since this morning.
Oh, didn't you notice? I left her with my parents last night. I didn't want her around for this conversation, considering how you think it's bad for her education. Sean looked utterly confused. He hadn't even realized his daughter wasn't there. Was all his affection for Mary just for show? There's nothing I could do. I felt a mix of disgust and anger boiling up inside me. It's time to let out all my pent-up frustration. I looked down at my drenched husband, sneering. Now, where was I? Oh right, about meeting your two mistresses. Hey, what are you talking about with mistresses? Are you mistaking me for someone else? Really? You're so obviously flustered. You've been cheating all this time, with not just one, but two other women. Cheating on me with two? Or is it a love triangle? Well, it doesn't matter anymore.
I haven't cheated. It's a misunderstanding, Natalie. Where's your proof? Which Sean are you talking about? The one who always dumps all the household chores on me and complains? The one who pretends to be a good father just by glancing at Mary? Or the one who plays the perfect husband and father outside? Any of those Seans could be cheating, and it's almost funny. As I continued my assault, Sean's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Next to us, Sean's brother and his wife exchanged glances, muttering, "What's going on here?" Sean had always played the part of a good husband and father in front of his brother and family. The facade he desperately maintained was now crumbling miserably. I was going to strip away that disguise today. I continued. Let's start with introducing your mistresses. The first one is Rebecca, 26, who works as a hospital admin, quite a cool beauty but not the best personality. The second is Julie, a 24-year-old receptionist at your company, a whole 10 years younger than you. Cute, but kind of a flirt. You've been dating Rebecca for 2 years and Julie for 1, all while hiding the fact you're married. As I calmly disclosed the details of Sean's two affairs, his eyes widened again. He approached me. Did you research this? When did you find out?
Oh, so you admit to cheating? Sean groaned in frustration. And in the next moment, unexpectedly, the door to the next room opened.
You idiot son! What? Dad, how long have you been there?
From the start. I've heard everything.
Sean, what kind of man, let alone husband, are you? How dare you treat Natalie, who's been upholding this family, with such disrespect?
Sean was startled by his father's furious outburst. And so were his brother and sister-in-law. In fact, I had already filled his father in and had him hide in the next room from the beginning. It's always better to have more allies. I stood beside Sean's father, looking down at my husband.
When did I notice you're cheating? From the very start, of course. What? From the beginning? Yes, I knew since you started seeing Rebecca. I was quite shocked when you began with the second one.
Yes, I had always been aware of Sean's infidelity. That's why, once I decided to divorce him over the new house incident, I moved quickly. To claim fair alimony and child support, I started gathering solid evidence of his affairs. I hired a private investigator, did some legwork myself, and gathered all the evidence.
Of course, I have photos too,
I said, scattering the photos from my pocket.
Oh, no!
Sean hurriedly tried to collect them, but it was too late. The photos clearly showed him kissing each mistress on the street and entering hotels with them. Sean's brother and his wife were speechless. And they looked at Sean with disdain. Yeah. That was the right reaction. Sean frantically gathered the photos, crumpled them in his hand, and glared at me. As if doing that would make the photos disappear. Does he not understand that?
I guess both of them were quite smitten with you, but you were still putting on a front for them too.
How vain can you be? I sighed, and Sean seemed taken aback. Probably he recalled my initial retort.
Natalie, what have you done? You met them? How? That's what I've been saying. I met them and asked them to wait a moment.
I stepped out of the room to fetch the voice recorder that served as evidence. I remembered meeting each of Sean's mistresses. They were wary at first but shocked when I told them Sean, the man they were dating, was married. Probably surprised that his wife, me, had confronted them. Well, the reactions that followed were surprisingly different. Rebecca looked me up and down disdainfully and sneered.
No wonder Sean looks for fun outside. His wife is so plain.
Proud of her beauty, she puffed up her chest. She didn't seem to think there was anything wrong with cheating or having an affair. It was a mystery to me. I'm planning to divorce him.
Oh, is that so?
Yes. So, I thought maybe you'd marry him next.
Well, if you're keen on that, I might consider it,
she said smugly. Clearly thrilled at the idea of winning Sean from me. A beautiful woman, but wicked. Sean's strict about housework. If you slack even a little, he gets angry. Are you okay with that?
What? That's your fault for being lazy. You look like the type who doesn't do things properly. I won't be like that. Housework for someone I love is a breeze.
Good to hear, I replied, then stopped the voice recorder I had hidden in my bag after leaving Rebecca. When I met Julie, it was a bit dramatic. As soon as I told her Sean was married, she burst into tears. She was lost in her world.
Poor Sean, to be stuck with someone like you because he met me too late,
Julie said pitifully, covering her face with her hands. I was perplexed by this new type of person I was encountering for the first time. When I told her, like I did with Rebecca, that I planned to divorce Sean, she exclaimed.
Divorce? That's great. That's the right thing to do. So that's why he was always distant when we talked about marriage. It's because of you. Great, now we can be together properly.
She said this with a sparkling smile, gripping my hand. What did she think was right? Cheating and affairs? Well, perhaps to her, that's the right path. I decided not to delve too deep into it. So, about Sean's mother, my mother-in-law. She's disabled and in a wheelchair now. And Sean's father isn't getting any younger. They might need care soon. Are you okay with that?
Care? That's fine. I get along great with older people. Unlike you, I can take proper care of them. Go ahead and divorce him, I'll handle everything.
It seemed in her mind, I was the one not getting along with my in-laws. And caregiving is a tough job. It's not something that can be done well just because of good relations, but regardless, I had gotten Julie's statement too. Housework, childcare, caregiving. The things Sean would arrogantly order me to do every time he was drunk. I had deliberately confirmed these points for him. He should be grateful, really. After playing back the recording from the voice recorder, Sean's face had turned pale. If he still wouldn't admit to his affairs after all this evidence, he was just foolish.
Natalie! You're planning to divorce me.
What? After all this, you thought I wouldn't?
But cheating, it's just a little fun. It's normal for men.
Is that so? I looked at Sean's father and brother. Sean's brother shook his head vigorously, shouting, "No way." Sean's father just muttered, "Unthinkable." That's what they say. But Dad's always been loyal to Mom, and my brother's too young to understand. Besides, what about Mary? Are you planning to take her father away? I've already talked to Mary about the divorce.
What?
Kids are sensitive and honest. She said, Dad's boring. Even when he plays with me, he seems distracted. And I hate it when he's mean to Mom. You thought she didn't understand, but she did. The only one who didn't get it was you. No. But I've been too patient, thinking of Mary. Having a man like you around has been a bad influence on her. What I did for my daughter's sake ended up hurting her. That was something I needed to reflect on. Sean had nothing left to say, just hanging his head. Of course, I was ready to crush any comeback he might have. Just then, a surprisingly cheerful doorbell rang. It seemed the people I was waiting for had finally arrived. Ah, they're here at last. Probably Rebecca and Julie. I invited them over for today.
You invited them?
Yes, I did. I've built a house for you and Sean to live in after our divorce. We're having a housewarming party, please come. I also mentioned that I intended to divorce him that day. Sean's eyes widened to their limit as I walked past him towards the door. Even through the door, I could hear the noisy argument of the two women. The moment I tried to open it, they burst in, bickering loudly. Isn't this trespassing?
Hey, what's going on here? This woman claims she's Sean's lover too. That's my line. She's been spouting nonsense. Sean's girlfriend is me. What? No, it's me.
Both of you, come in. Sean's in the living room. As I ushered them into the living room, Sean's eyes widened even more. It seemed his eyes could open wider than I thought possible. The mysteries of the human body. And then, the living room turned into a battlefield.
Sean, explain what's going on. This old lady's been saying weird things. Who are you calling old? I'm only 26. Pretending to be young, huh? You're obviously older, hanging around Sean like that. It's embarrassing. What? Who are you, you brat? Sean, you said you're the only one for me, right? This ring, you gave it to me as an engagement ring, didn't you? There's no reason for you to be with this kid. What? I never got a ring. Sean, it's okay that you hid your marriage from me. I know you did it for us. We're meant to be together. Wait here, I'll get the ring from this old hag right now. Stop it. Sean, tell them I'm the one. No, it's me. Stay out of this, old lady.
Both of you, calm down. Before my eyes, a drama unfolded like something out of a daytime soap opera. The two mistresses, neither willing to back down, their noisy squabbling was honestly off-putting. Even though I provoked this situation myself, to be honest, I find it quite unsettling. I took the chance to ask Sean's brother and his wife to leave. I'll make up for this properly later. Then, I waited with Sean's father for the ugly argument between the mistresses to die down, but it showed no signs of stopping. Sean was just floundering, useless between them. Just as I wondered what to do, Sean's father clapped his hands loudly. The sharp clap cut through the air, silencing the argument instantly. Can we talk now? Sean's father asked in a calm voice, a stark contrast to his earlier anger. His demeanor seemed to embody the confidence of a man who's seen it all. It was clear his earlier outburst was a reflex, defending me, and I felt a warmth in my chest. He sat on the sofa and ordered Sean and the two mistresses, "Sit down, all of you."
Well, Dad. This is, Did you not hear me say sit down? Or do you want me to force you to sit?
Sean, trembling, hesitantly sat on the floor. The two mistresses, still unaware of the situation, followed suit and sat down on the floor after my husband. I stood beside Sean's father, ready to observe what would unfold. His father glared at Sean. Sean cowered under his gaze. It was like a frog hypnotized by a snake.
Sean, you said, the new house will be barrier-free so we can live there with Mom in the future. Was that a lie? The house isn't even remotely wheelchair accessible. You didn't consider your mother's needs at all. And this living room is quite different from the layout you showed me. Also, Natalie said she didn't know anything about living together. Explain yourself. Well, you see.
Yes. It seems that my husband had been deceiving my father-in-law, pretending that he would build a barrier-free house for my future mother-in-law when they eventually lived together. And it turns out, he had been asking for extra construction expenses, claiming that it was necessary for building the barrier-free house. I had been too busy with gathering evidence of his affairs and had no chance to discuss it with his parents. Sean, still trembling, couldn't muster a response. I paid for this house. Did you think you could deceive me and get away with it? As my father-in-law calmly pressed on, suddenly, my husband looked up. And then, as if to vent all the pent-up frustration from before, he burst out shouting.
You always do this, Dad. Always oppressing me, trying to control me. Do you know how terrified I was, not knowing when you would hit me? I've been waiting for the day to get back at you. When you suggested this new house, I decided to take everything from you. The lie about living together was just to see the look of despair on your face. Sorry to disappoint you, it's not the house you wanted. It's done now, and you can't say anything about it. Take that.
Sean, now defiant, continued his rant. It seemed like his own way of revenge. However, his actions were in no way justifiable. His father listened quietly to Sean's crazed laughter. Then he looked at me. Natalie, you have the divorce papers ready, right? Yes. Get him to agree on them right now. Prompted by his father's calm voice, I handed the divorce papers to Sean. He suddenly seemed to snap back to reality.
I want a divorce. Right now. Well, Natalie, you know. Hurry up.
Sean's father asked. I suppose you've already consulted a lawyer, Natalie? Yes, of course. Good. Leave the rest to me. Go back to your parents' house for now. Mary must be waiting for you. He then turned to the mistresses. Are you two done causing a scene? They shook their heads nervously. Then go home. Or do you still want to be with this foolish son? Chastised, they glanced at Sean, now a pitiful sight, and hurriedly left. As I slowly left the living room, I noticed Sean's father standing up from the sofa. Despite his calm demeanor, I could clearly see the flames of anger in his eyes. Such a quietly intense rage. It was indeed frightening.
Natalie, wait! I'm sorry, please forgive me. Help me!
Sean pleaded desperately, but I walked away from the new house, leaving him behind. I'm sure I wasn't imagining the house shaking with a thunderous roar of anger. Ironically, the house, built with Sean's insistence on soundproofing, contained the noise well. I stretched my arms out wide. Afterward, the divorce was finalized smoothly. I became a single mother, freed from the burden of an ex-husband. With substantial evidence, I received more than the usual amount in alimony and ensured child support through an agreement with Sean's parents. I also received a significant sum from Sean's parents as compensation for the inconvenience and to support my new life, about half of the new house's construction cost. It was astonishing to learn that it came from Sean's father's earnings. Updates on Sean were relayed by his parents whenever they visited Mary. He was required to repay the construction costs. Thanks to the written agreements we had. His petty revenge plan backfired, marking him as a genuine fool. Rebecca and Julie had both dumped him. Julie even stormed into Sean's office, loudly revealing their affair and two-timing, making the office a difficult place for him. Now, Sean is in Peru with his father.
I'll straighten out his rotten nature.
It seems that he is currently accompanying Sean's father in a form of warrior training. Sean's mother, now alone in their home, started living with Sean's brother's family. As for me, life as a single mother is challenging but fulfilling. I'm dedicated to my work and raising Mary. Lately, a younger male colleague has been asking me out for meals. Maybe there's a spark there. In the future, I'm determined not to settle or endure unnecessary hardships. I'll grasp happiness with my own hands, for Mary and myself.